Good afternoon. Today I've got a video of a trip I made in October of 2024 to the Mashpi Lodge with my daughter Emily. If you may have seen my earlier videos from Ecuador, I felt that I'd left a few birds on the table. I just wanted to make another trip back there and see some things that I wish I'd seen and hadn't quite seen on our first trip that I made with my wife Gail. So Emily came with me last time. It was a good opportunity for her to see Ecuador, and we visited some areas I hadn't seen before, the Mashpi, and we also, later videos will show a few other areas we revisited. So enjoy. The Mashpi Cloud Forest Reserve is located about 2.5 hours northwest of Quito. Emily and I stayed at the Cloud Forest Lodge, which is a resort-type lodge located along a road that runs down the mountain from the entrance down to a feeding station down at the bottom of the hill. There are basically feeding stations about a mile, both up the hill and down the hill from the lodge. There was an abundance of slate-throated redstarts on the property, which is a bird I had missed photographing on my first Ecuador trip. In addition to the redstarts, we found a broad-billed motmot near the lodge. As we walked down to the lower station the first afternoon, we were fortunate to see choco warblers, which is one I had missed previously. I couldn't film them very well with the video camera, but Emily did manage to get one decent picture in the dark light. A calling yellow-throated toucan awaited us at the bottom of the hill. Here's a cinnamon bacard Emily photographed in a cecropia tree. There was a pair of swallow tanagers in the trees far behind the feeding station as well. This black-cheeked woodpecker was one I had seen on the previous Ecuador trip and also in Panama, but these were my first images of one. Moss-backed tanagers were plentiful at Mashpi. I'd missed those on my previous trip, so I was happy to see them. Lemon-rumped tanagers were another plentiful Mashpi bird. Those I had seen before. This little guy caused a lot of debate. Some called it a choco tyrannolet, but Emily and I finally decided on white-fronted tyrannolet. Emily got a good picture of this banana quit hanging out in the flowers. Below the bird feeders, an agouti was cleaning up the fallen scraps. On the way back up the hill from the feeders towards the lodge, we found this purple quail dove. It's a little dark, but it was still pretty. The next morning, at the hummingbird feeding area up above the lodge, we found this crimson-rumped toucanette, another lifer for me. Instead of concentrating on hummingbirds, we spent most of our time at that area, walking the road looking for other species. Here's a scaly-throated foliage gleaner that Emily got a good picture of. Here is a pair of plumbeous pigeons we found on our walk away from the feeders. I'd seen ornate flycatchers on my first trip, but they're still really cute. This little yellowthroat hiding in the weeds turned out to be a masked yellowthroat. I think its name is becoming Black Lord Yellowthroat, if I read that right. This swallow tanager we found on our walk was a little closer and easier to photograph than the ones the day earlier. Emily got a good picture of this bronze olive pygmy tyrant. He escaped my camera. This black-billed peppershrike sang loudly, but he was tough to find hiding in the trees. This rufous brown solitaire almost skulked away before Emily caught it. We visited the hummingbird feeders again the next morning, where Emily caught this brown Inca. I didn't take much hummingbird video, as I'd gotten a lot on my first Ecuador trip, but I really like these velvet purple coronets. One of the most common hummingbirds I've seen in Ecuador, the green-crowned brilliant. I fiddled around trying to catch an empress brilliant with its long tail, but this was the best I could do. Violet-tailed sylphs are always great hummingbirds to see. I'm glad Emily got the chance to see them. Despite the rain that morning, I was happy with this photo of the crimson rum toucanet, much better than the day before. Here is a pair of the toucanets engaging in a little courtship activity. There were moss-back tanagers up at this set of feeders as well. Golden tanagers were seen on my previous trip, but they're still pretty. Finally, here's one that I really wanted to see, one of the main goals of the trip, the glistening green tanager. Photos only, no video, but I'm happy. And how about this lifer, a flame-faced tanager? Wow, another lifer, a rufous-throated tanager. Here's an Andean coati making a feeder raid. They're a little different species than the ones we see in Arizona. This red-tailed squirrel also raided the feeders. Here's a composite photo I made of some euphonias. These are orange-bellied euphonias, the male with the black throat and the female with the golden cap. Here's one Emily caught on camera that I could never quite get, the white-throated thrush. This is an olive finch I photographed walking down to the feeders. Another bird near the lodge that Emily photographed, the pale-vented thrush. Mashpi had a chairlift type thing, kind of like a ski lift, between several high points. They called it the Dragonfly, and you could ride it and view the waterfalls and cloud forest from above. Because of the rain, we didn't see as many birds from the dragonfly as we'd hoped, but we did see several nice ones, including a crested owl. From the dragonfly, you could see the waterfalls and get a good view of the cloud forest. We also saw a few birds. There's a dusky pigeon in the sequence and a gray and gold tanager. We saw an umbrella bird, but not well enough to get a picture, unfortunately. We saw a few birds around the lodge when we got up early to see what bugs they were after, such as this bay wren. Another skulker up by the lodge was this ochre-breasted tanager. This collared trogon also hung out near the lodge. We took a night walk at Mashpi with one of the guides who showed us some green glass frogs, brown tree frogs of some sort, and I believe one was a gladiator frog. Also, we got video photos of a vine snake. It was fun.
Okay, I took many.
Can you keep showing? I'm getting a little video of him. Can you keep your headlight on him? There you go. Our last evening there, we climbed the tower, got some video and photos of the sunset. Really pretty. We hope you enjoyed this presentation on Mashpi in Ecuador. It filled a lot of gaps in my Northwest Ecuador list. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button. I hope you also subscribe. We have more Ecuador videos coming. Thanks again.